What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Grappling Pick'em Show, where we break down the upcoming Tezos Who's Number One card, tell you what picks to make, what picks to stay away from. I'm Trey Robinson, that's Corey Stockton. Today we're breaking down the Tezos Who's Number One Brianna Ste-Marie versus Maisa Bastos card. It's going down on November 11th. Only on FloGrappling.com. But let's go into our first matchup. We got Brianna Ste-Marie versus Maisa Bastos going down in the main event. What do you think about this one, Corey?
Both of these women undefeated in their Who's Number One tenures. Maisa Bastos 4-0, the current and reigning strawweight champion, up against Brianna Ste-Marie, who's 2-0 at 125. Maisa going up in weight considerably. I think that's going to make her the underdog at plus 180 to Brianna's favorite, minus 220. What do you think of those odds, Trey?
Man, I think we know that both of these grapplers are very equally skilled when it comes to the mat, and the line kind of reflects that. So you're not getting a lot of juice either way there, to be honest. So let's check the over-under. Now this is going to be, will the match go over 10 minutes or stay under 10 minutes? That's how this one works. And so the over is going to be at minus 500 and the under is at plus 375. What pick are you taking on this one?
You know, both these women, incredibly hard to submit. I think that's why the over is such a popular pick here. But I'm going to take Maisa Bastos, even though she is later. She's nearly entirely undefeated in her no-gi career. It's a bit of a risk to take her at plus 180, given that she's given up so much size, but I'm going to take her anyway.
That's right. It's hard to bet against Brianna Ste-Marie, but honestly, it's hard to bet against Maisa as well. So for this one, I think they're so close. I think it's going to be a really good match, but I want to stay away from it. I don't want to have to put any of my money on the line for this one. So let's go to our co-main event, where we're going to see Jacob Couch go up against Gracie Barra's finest, Bruno Matias. This one's going to be a banger as well.
Yeah, Bruno Matias making his Who's Number One debut against the multiple-time Who's Number One veteran in Jacob Couch. I think pretty obvious that that's going to make Jacob Couch the favorite at minus 400 to Bruno's plus 300 underdog.
Yeah, I don't really think there's anything shocking about this line here. Obviously, we know Bruno Matias has a bit of his hands full with his Who's Number One debut going against the Who's Number One veteran, Jacob Couch. But I'll tell you where there's a little bit of money to be made, Corey, and that's in the under. The under set at plus 120. I think no matter what, this one gets done early. I have to say that's probably leaning towards Jacob Couch, but I definitely think we're going to see a submission early in this one. I'm taking the under at plus 120.
If you want to win big off Jacob Couch, it's not taking him straight up, right? The minus 400 doesn't really pay out, but what will pay out is the under. Jacob Couch has submitted most of his opponents on Who's Number One, and every time he's gotten a submission, it's been done early, right? You talk about Hunter Colvin, talk about David Garmo, talk about Roberto Jimenez. When Jacob Couch is going after submission, when he finds a weakness, he sinks his teeth in. I think the way to make money here is definitely in the under.
There it is. So let's move on to the next match. We're going to see Hysom, the Giraffe, Rita go up against Luke Griffiths. A couple of big boys going to be taking the mats on this one.
Yeah, it's a really tough one to call. Both these athletes are explosive. They're kind of they go after the finish, and sometimes they put their neck on the line for it. So it's going to be really tough to figure out who's going to win this. Hysom, a little bit more experienced on Who's Number One. He's 5-1. Still, he's the underdog here at plus 130. What do you think of that, Trey?
I honestly think that one's a little bit shocking. Hysom has one of the best records of any Who's Number One athlete, someone who's competed on the card many times at this point. Luke, I know he's a young gunslinger. You know, he's got youth on his side. He's got New Wave in his corner. We saw him come out and submit Joe Durkheisen, but for me, I'm taking Hysom Rita. I'm taking the plus 130. I think that's the pick to make, so I'm rolling with the Giraffe there. But let's also check this over-under. Looks like they think this one is going to end early.
Plus 130 is a really interesting pick, but I think the minus 200 for the under is a little bit more compelling because between these two athletes, I honestly don't know who's going to win. I know Hysom has a better record, but they both like to play it close to the edge, right? And then they'll both maybe take risks they shouldn't take for the sake of the submission, for the sake of the show. But you know that both of these athletes who have two of the quickest submissions in Who's Number One history, this match is not going to go past 5 minutes, let alone 10.
That's right. So I'm taking the plus 130 with Hysom. Corey's taking the under at minus 200. Let's see what we got next. So up next, we got the Manaus Nightmare, Fabricio Andre, going up against the Texas Mullet and Ethan Krellinston. Let's see what these lines are. Let's unveil it. We got Ethan at plus 270 and Fabricio at minus 345. So Fabricio is going to be your favorite How do you see this one going down?
Maybe a little bit of a surprise that Fabricio is the favorite here. He's had a relatively short no-gi career, especially up against somebody like Ethan Carlson, who's been competing almost exclusively no-gi since he was a purple belt back in 2016. Fabricio, a black belt gi world champion, but still kind of getting his toes wet in no-gi. But he's on a heater, right? He's looked great all season long, making it to ADCC, winning in day one at ADCC, and that's the reason he's the minus 345 your favorite.
Yeah, you said it yourself there. He's on a heater, and listen, you don't bet against a man on a heater. That's gambling advice to live by. So what I'm going to take here, I'm taking the under at plus 210. There's a little bit more juice there, a little bit more money to be made. I think both of these guys, they live in the scramble, they come out, they love throwing crazy stuff. Ethan has some of the best scrambles I've ever seen. Fabricio Andre is a sniper when it comes to submission. So I think these guys have an insane first 10 minutes, but I see it getting finished in under 10.
I gotta say, I think this is going to be a wild match, right? But there's so much at stake for both of these guys. I have a hard time betting against either one because they know how high the stakes are. They know how much a win means here. I'm saying entirely away from this match. There's no number here that can draw me into betting here.
All right, that's fair enough. Can't blame you there. So let's go to our final match of the main card where we're going to see Andy Varela go up against the B-Team prodigy Joseph Chen.
Yeah, Andy Varela and Joseph Chen both making their Who's Number One debuts. Both of them have looked great in the ADCC 2022 season. Andy Varela, the favorite, took second at the West Coast Trials. Joseph Chen, the underdog, took third at the Asia and Oceania Trials. Varela, maybe it makes sense that he's the favorite, right? He's the more established name. He's
ADCC vet at this point.
ADCC vet. He's an established black belt. Joseph Chen, we're really only starting to see what Joseph Chen can do now. He's training at B-Team with Craig Jones and team. But up until earlier this year, we hadn't heard too much of him.
He's also a teenager, you know? So, I mean, I know there's teenage phenoms all over the place now. You got Kolabate, Passion Goalie, Joseph Chen, add him to the list. But in this one, I'm going with the experience of Andy Varela. I'm going to take Andy Varela. Even though it's minus 300, I'm still rolling with Andy on this one.
Once again here, I'm going to take the under. There is, I think, reason to take Joseph Chen. He's got, like in the last match, he's got nothing to lose, but the under here makes a lot more sense to me just based on how willing both of these athletes are to take a risk, right? That neither one of them wants to let this thing go to decision. Neither one of them wants to make this a boring match. They're going to take shots. They're going to take bad shots. They're going to try and make something happen, and that's where you get quick submissions. I want the under here at minus 200.
You know what? You convinced me, Corey. I'm taking Andy Varela at minus 300, and I'm taking the under at minus 200. So I'm rolling with both those. I might parlay them, you know. Let's get rich off of this one. But let's move on to the next fight. This one's going to be on the prelims. Now, remember, the prelims are going to be free on the FloGrappling YouTube channel. So you're going to see this matchup as well as Maurice Ramirez versus Kevin Carrasco is going to be free on FloGrappling YouTube. But let's break it down. We got Rosa Walsh representing Pedigo Submission Fighting now. She's been in Mount Vernon. She's training with those guys, going up against Emily Fernandez at Bastos BJJ. Corey, what do you think?
Rosa Walsh, no-gi Panish champion at brown belt with 3 submissions in 3 matches. I believe that's going to make her the favorite here at minus 185. Emily Fernandez, rookie black belt out of Lead BJJ at plus 150. Close matchup between these two. Really difficult to set an established favorite. What do you think?
Man, I'll tell you what, I think Rosa Walsh has also been on a bit of a heater. We already said it, you don't bet against someone on a heater. So I'm going to have to take Rosa Walsh at minus 185. I'm also going to take the under at plus 225. I think one thing's true about these prelim matches we see on Who's Number One. The athletes come out there, they want to make a statement, they want to put on a show. So no matter what, it ends in submission. It's exciting. So I think it's going to end quick, but I'm taking Rosa Walsh as well.
I'm going to stay away from an individual pick here exactly because of that, right? Because neither of these athletes have anything to lose. They both have nothing to lose specifically. So I think they're both going to come out swinging. Somebody's going to take a risk. Somebody's going to pay for that risk. And we're going to end up with a quick submission. I'm going to take the under at plus 225. It's too juicy to let it pass.
There we go. So remember, on the prelims, you're also going to see Maurice Ramirez versus Kevin Carrasco. We just did not have the betting lines for them yet. But remember, it's all going down on Friday, November 11th on FloGrappling. You get the first 2 matches for free. The prelims are going to be on the FloGrappling YouTube channel, but you got to pay for the rest. It's going to be on FloGrappling.com live. So make sure you guys go get signed up.
And tune in for FloGrappling for our last Who's Number One card of the year. It's going to be incredible. Friday, November 11th, only on FloGrappling.
We'll see you guys there.